The San Francisco 49ers just finished another preseason game against the New Orleans Saints, this time beating them 16-10. And there were a lot of things to love in that game, and there were a lot of things to forget for sure. In this show, we are talking about first quarter notes led by Brock Purdy, some controversy there, quote unquote. Second quarter notes led by Josh Dobbs, and some controversy there too, some X factor there for sure, and players. A lot of them. I got a lot of them today that are trending up and some players that are trending down after this preseason game. If you're new here, I'm Nate. We are talking the San Francisco 49ers every single day on this channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the action. And please consider hitting that like button because that is apparently really important with the YouTube algorithm, I'm told. Okay, the news is this. 49ers beat the New Orleans Saints 16-10 in the second preseason game. A score line that, of course, does not matter. But what does matter is how the Niners looked. And goodness, out on that field, the short version is Brock Purdy's stint in the quarterback position did not look very good. We'll break that down a little bit. We're going to talk about that. And Josh Dobbs, his stint at the quarterback position looked very good, pretty good, great, good for the most part. Lots of good things I saw out of Josh Dobbs. You can see how I feel about it. And we're going to break that one down as well in a few moments here. But first, who stood out to you? Let me know in the comments who your standout player was in this preseason game. Yes, it is preseason. We will major caveat everything we say here. It's preseason, and we know it's preseason. And a lot of people are going to be, look how bad Brock Purdy looked. And that's what you're going to hear that tomorrow morning. If you haven't looked at it on Twitter, you're going to see it on Twitter tonight. I've already seen it. You're going to see people saying that Josh Dobbs needs to be QB1. I mean, there's all sorts of crazy stuff you can find on the old interweb. So listen, the bottom line is I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments who you felt like was a standout performer tonight in the preseason game. Yes, it's preseason. We're happy with that. We're going to take preseason for what it is. Who really stood out to you, who really felt special to you, did some things that caught you off guard, whether it's a player that was outstanding, the best player on the field, or go the route of a player that you expected to not be as good as they were, right? That they did better than you expected them to be. That is also fine. We're not looking for, top ranking players from the preseason game. We're not looking for game balls. We're just looking for who are those players that really stood out to you. Just, they were all over the screen. We're going to be talking about a few of them later in the video. I've got a bunch because we're going to be talking trending up and trending down, and I've got a bunch of guys on that one. We're going to have to update the old depth charts and all sorts of stuff like that this week. But let's kick it off first. And let's talk about Brock Purdy with a massive caveat, by the way. Screen didn't change. With a massive caveat, by the way, okay? Starting with the fact that Brock Purdy's out there. He starts. And by the way Kyle Shanahan said it, we thought a lot of other starters were going to be out there too. I mean, the way he said it was like not all starters, but you kind of thought if Brock Purdy's going out there, who else is going out with him? You're not sending Brock Purdy out to play with the 2s and 3s, are you? Apparently they were because Deebo wasn't out there. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey wasn't out there. That one goes without saying. The little injury said a long time ago he wasn't going to play in the preseason. George Kittle wasn't out there. Juwan Jennings wasn't out there. Jordan Mason wasn't out there. So even your RB2 wasn't out there. And that's an interesting one, by the way. Is Jordan Mason's injury because he's a locked-in RB2 and the 49ers wanted to protect his reps? That's an interesting one. But, of course, Brandon Aiyuk was not out there and Trent Williams were not out there either. So, obviously, that wasn't going to fit really well for Brock Purdy, right? On the defensive side of the ball, by the way, while we're talking about players that were there and who weren't, Devondre Campbell was out there. Yetur Gross-Matos was out there. Jair Brown was out there. Flanagan Fowles was out there. But no Fred Warner, no Charvarius Ward, no Diamador Lenore, no Malik Collins, no Javon Hargrave, no D. Winters. And I know D. Winters is probably not a starter, but prominent names that were not out there for this preseason game. Things to keep in mind because I felt like the New Orleans Saints played a pretty strong team. On offense especially, they played a pretty strong team. So everything kept under the guise of this is preseason. This was not an ideal night for Brock Purdy, who went 2 for 6, 11 yards, 1.8 average. That's fantastic. And a 42 QB rating. Now, we're not going to worry about that. I'm not going to even go into that. Like, it doesn't even deserve the deep conversation in the stats, okay? Because it's preseason. Stats in preseason are like very minimal. We got to be careful with stats in preseason because we compare these stats in the regular season with a regular season game, and no matter how hard you try, it's just not, it doesn't work, all right? It's not going to work. There's so many factors for Brock Purdy. So the first question I want to ask you tonight is, should Brock Purdy have played? And I've got a tweet here from Jake the Snake suggesting otherwise. Playing Brock Purdy without the entire starting offense feels negligent. I want to see Brock play too, but it's pointless to play him without the rest of the starters. Even if he looks bad, what takeaways could you possibly have without the rest of the starters? I don't get this. And this is a good argument. All right, I'm going to give Jake the Snake a little bit of credit here. He's got some good tweets. I've appreciated some of his perspectives, and I'm going to agree with a lot of what he's saying here, but I'm going to disagree on one minor point. And it's just that I think the purpose, right? But the overall message that he's sending here is understandable. You've got an offensive line who looks really weak. Jalen Moore did not have a good game. This was not a good moment for him. We'll talk about him again later. But Brock Purdy's out there getting hit. He's taking hits in preseason. You want your QB1 out there taking the risk of taking hits like that? I mean, I know that can happen in any preseason game, obviously, but goodness, that's not good. You don't want that. The offense looked confused on pass plays. Like, what are we doing? Where are we going? Where's the ball going? There was no quickness to getting the ball out of his hands. There was scrambling. It just felt really weird. It did not feel like the 49ers offense you're used to watching. Of course, because it's not the 49ers offense you're used to watching. That's got to be part of it, right? But then you add on that. To some extent, I think, and this is where, and I don't know if disagreement's even right here, but this is where I'll maybe diverge from what Jake the Snake is pointing out here and say that to some extent you want Brock out there getting game speed snaps, right? It's not really about his connection with these wide receivers. I'm sure that's helpful to try and build on that. I think it's a huge part of it is getting out there, getting real games snaps. So the first time you snap a football is not against the New York Jets on Monday Night Football. That's how I see it. I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think for sure in the comments. That's how I see it. I think that it's probably more of that than anything. At the end of the first quarter, though, I do understand this perspective, and this tweet here was a good representation, I think, of how a lot of us were feeling about was that really worth it? At the end of the quarter, it's easy to look at that and be like, was it worth playing him there? Was that really worth it? I don't know, man. I don't know. Definitely not what you wanted to see, but understandable. Preseason is always a little funky, and I'm not going to freak out about that. Next topic. Josh Dobbs. Bring in some X factor, guys. Josh Dobbs bringing some X factor and putting up a good argument for QB2. A great argument for QB2. Brandon Allen put up a good argument for QB2 as well. I'll give him credit there. Made some great passes in preseason 1. Made some great passes and great opportunities in preseason 2. Preseason 1, I'll give you credit too against the Titans that he had a couple drops that should have gone his way, where you ask Ronnie Bell to catch that football. We'll talk about Ronnie Bell later too. So I'll give him credit there. All right. But tonight, again, making some good moments. But at the end of the day, what Josh Dobbs is giving you is something that's completely different. He's giving you presence in the pocket. He's giving you that. I mean, he did a pretty dang good job turning things around in terms of what momentum felt like, in terms of rhythm with the offense. The way he was throwing the ball felt different. Okay. Now, we're throwing the ball probably more than we're going to be throwing the ball when Christian McCaffrey's out on the field and we're in our number one offense, to be fair. okay? But you understand that because that's the depth that we're really worried about right now. You're worried about the wide receivers. You're not worried, but you're paying attention to the wide receivers. Who's going to fill that slot 5, slot 6 role in the wide receiver room? And then you're also worried about who's your QB2. You're thinking about who your QB2 is, and so you want to see them get out there and throw some footballs. So understandably, things are a little bit different too, to be fair. That being said, Josh Dobbs gives you an X factor. We've seen him do it last preseason game. We saw it again here. We saw it in Minnesota when he played for the Vikings. He does at times have moments he can run the ball. There's a little bit of a hardened mouth kind of feeling that I get, even though this game meant nothing to me. And I like literally didn't even, it's kind of nice actually to watch your team play a football game and not feel super stressed out and super emotionally attached to everything that's about to happen. But, he goes out there and he's running around and I'm like, starts flexing all my muscles and I start tensing up and like, oh, geez, what's about to happen right here as he's scrambling with the ball. But then, he goes and does a nice little run in for the touchdown and you're like, okay, like that's something different. You'll give him that. He does offer something there. He's a little pump fake, by the way, that in live time didn't look like a pump fake. Looked like he was actually setting up for a pass. And it totally got him those extra yards on that really long. We went way out and then came all the way back and went up the other side of the field. Oh, whatever the case is. I'll be happy with the stuff he did from the pocket and say that was sufficient enough, in my opinion, when you add his X factor, QB2, in my opinion. That's how I see it. I wasn't the only one out there. Lots of people saying the same thing on places like Twitter, so I'm not gonna act like I'm some genius for saying that. In addition to that, I wanted to talk about trends. Let's talk about trending up and trending down because there are a lot of guys out there trending up and trending down right now, and I would really love your perspective in the comments. Let me know what you think about these ones, guys. But number 1 on the list, Jacob Cowing trending up. My goodness, it was good to see him on the football field, by the way. Right? It was good to see him actually play because for those of us who couldn't go to training camp and for those of us who are just living vicariously through Twitter accounts that were posting footage from actually being at training camp, it was really exciting to actually see him on the TV and see what he can do and see his pace and see how he separated, to see what he did when he got the ball, to see his lightning speed, all of that good stuff. I still don't think we saw the best out of Jacob Cowing tonight, for sure. For sure. There's more there, for sure. But goodness, that was pretty good. I was excited about Jacob Cowing out there. I liked a lot of what he was doing. I liked the way that he caught the ball. He was aggressive in the way he caught the ball. He was intentional. He was reading the ball. That one deep ball from Josh Dobbs that he kind of slows down just enough but still maintains his body in between the defender and the ball so he can catch I mean, he did a good job. It was good from Jacob Cowing. Got to give him all the credit in the world there. Jacob Cowing is trending up. Trent Taylor, trending down. Sorry, Trent Taylor. Sorry. But Jacob Cowing was out there doing all the punt returns, and he looked solid. Did a fair catch return, did somewhere he ran the ball, had some space in front of him. It's preseason, so you can't really judge whether or not the guy gets the jitters based on, gets the yips based on preseason games. But, he looked good out there. And if Kyle is comfortable with him catching the ball and fair catching and all that good stuff, then I think Trent Taylor is kind of out of an opportunity here. Because once you put all these wide receivers together and Brandon Aiyuk's going to be on this team, knock on wood, he's going to be on this football team, then Cowing is going to be on this football team. I think it's pretty well done here. All they needed to see from Cowing was something decent, and you'd think they're going to give him the nod. Then you've got, I suppose that's not totally true. He could be thrown in the practice squad. I don't think so, though. That doesn't seem logical to me in terms of how you draft and everything. But that being said, I don't think Trent Taylor's going to make this team. That's too bad for him. I thought I had a tweet for that, but I wonder if I got rid of it. Did I get rid of it? Oh, there's one. There's one. That's not the one I was thinking of, but there you go. Ryan Hensley telling you he thinks the same thing. Cowing is greater than Trent Taylor. T.Y. McGill trending up. Loved his presence. Jalen Moore trending down. This is a great tweet. Trent Williams right now watching Jalen Moore in the first quarter. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Sorry, Jalen. And he's the number 2. Chris Hubbard was in there last week. We saw him. I don't know that things have changed based on what happened tonight, but I will say that he's trending down. Trent Williams, of course, is relishing the opportunity here. Dominic Pooney continues to trend up. Lots to love from him. Cody Schrader, I feel like, is kind of trending down. I would love to know what your thoughts are on Cody Schrader. We talked a little bit about blocking throughout the last week. There was a lot of conversation about that. I just feel like running the ball. I just don't feel like he's got something special. And I don't like watching running backs who don't have something special because, no offense, but they're a dime a dozen, and you need a running back to make this football team. When you're working behind Christian McCaffrey, you need to add something to special teams, and you need to add something really special when you do get your opportunities. And I just don't feel like he did anything that really set him apart. He has the benefit, quote unquote, of guys like Isaac Grendo being injured, but I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. He was out there, to be fair, kick return. I want to say at least once there. Let's see. Curtis Robinson, trending up for me. Had a good game. Had a couple of things where I felt like he missed a block or missed a tackle, but overall, good presence on the field. Cam Latu, I feel like he's trending down. He was targeted a lot, had some good catches, but also had a drop or two. And I don't know. He's just not convincing to me. He's not convincing to me in the way he catches the ball, the way he runs his routes, the way he gets open. I just don't feel super convinced by him. So we'll see. I think he's trending down. Malik Mustafa, continues to trend up. Was just present so many times on the field. I got him. He was your top 3 tacklers tonight. Tatum Bethune, trending up, by the way. Jalen Graham, my goodness, trending up. He's on my list later up, but goodness. He had a couple of really big moments. Malik Mustafa also trending up. Both these guys all getting lots of tackles, so good on them. Sam Womack had a big miss, but also had a couple big plays. You like him there. Ronnie Bell, I think he's trending down. I'm sorry to say. I think he's trending down. I don't see a place for him on this football team. Danny Gray, same deal. I don't know how these guys make the team when you're looking at one spot available if you take both of your rookie wideouts. One spot left. Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo Samuel. Who am I missing? Obviously, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowan. I'm missing somebody. Shoot, who am I missing on the depth chart? Oh, Juwan Jennings, obviously. And then you're left with Chris Conley, probably. Probably Chris Conley. And these guys are all fighting for that one spot right there. So I do think there are going to be some guys we're going to hear after cuts next week. Is it a week away now? We're getting close to cuts. And I think you're going to see, maybe it's a little more than a week. It's somewhere around that. But I think you're going to see a lot of guys leaving this roster, getting picked up by other teams, because I think you're not going to be able to hide these guys. There are talents. Now, I don't think they're showing their best right now in preseason football, but that's how I feel. I feel bad for Ronnie Bell. I like Ronnie Bell. I want to like Ronnie Bell. And you give credit to Ronnie Bell for going out there and playing with quarterback 2, quarterback 3, and quarterback 4. I mean, that's not easy either. You're asking a lot for a guy to try and climb up the depth charts when he's going up with 3 different quarterbacks, all 2nd, 3rd, and 4th ranked. That's not easy for the guy. Also, I'll give a trending up award to Matt Breida. I don't think he's making this team, but he's making his arguments. Trending up for me, had some great plays in there. Had a great pass from Josh Dobbs, floated over, did a great job following that, paying attention to where he's at on the field, who's around him. That was good. He had a couple good runs. He had another really good pass somewhere else. I'm trying to remember what it was. Jalen Graham, trending up. I already mentioned him. Had a couple of big moments, including a great sack. Tatum Bethune, I think he's continuing to trend up. He wasn't perfect tonight, but I think he did pretty well there. Jarrell Luter Jr. is back. He's trending up, I think. My goodness. Good to see him out there coming up with some crucial plays at the end of the game to keep the scoreline in a position for the 49ers to be able to say they had a win, which, again, preseason doesn't really matter. but I think the guys go out there, they want to be competitive, and they want to get a W. They want that. That's something they're happy about. Anything else, goodness, that we might have missed tonight? I think we're running out of time here, but this was a great one from Matt Barrows. Mitch Wishnowski's knee might be feeling better after watching Harvin nail 3 punts near the goal line. Guys, that was crazy. I mean, dropping on like the 4-yard line and bouncing backwards consistently. Yeah, Presley Harvin, the third. Well done. Well done. I think Mitch Wishnowski's feeling a lot better now. Oh, that's a great tweet. That's a great tweet. Let me know what you guys think. I'm looking forward to reading your thoughts on the game, your post-game feelings, guys who stood out to you. Maybe you disagree with some of my trending ups or trending downs. I look forward to the conversation. I do not think that we have anything to fear about Brock Purdy. I do not think we have any reason to be hoping Josh Dobbs is our starting quarterback. I think we saw enough film on him last year to say he's not the number one guy. He's not the guy going forward. And I like Josh Dobbs. I really do. He's intelligent. He's a great communicator. He's fun to listen to in podcasts and stuff like that. He's great perspective, great attitude. He's not our quarterback. Not right now. Got to beat Brock Purdy for me. There's no argument there, and I hope that there's no argument there. I hope there's no argument there, but that's how I feel. A lot to look forward to. 5 days until the Vegas Raiders. We'll see if anybody gets a look in the Vegas Raiders game, or if you're going to see all of your main guys going out there for the first time catching a football against the New York Jets. That's probably how I imagine things are going to play out. But because you had so many guys sit out, there's a possibility that they do get some reps. Because so many guys sat out, it's not like, we'll see. Kyle Shanahan, you know how he does things. We'll see what happens. But I'd love to see a few more first-team reps just to feel a little better from the starters there. But as always, guys, I'm feeling positive. What a time to be alive.